Rain lashes against the cracked windows of the old station as Henry Cole pushes open the rusted doors. The sound echoes through the empty hall, a ghostly reminder of voices long gone. The year is 1928, and he has just bought this forgotten place for the price of a broken car. Dust swirls under his boots. The clock on the wall, frozen at 11:23, hasn't ticked in over a decade. But tonight, something about that silence feels alive. He moves through the ticket room, his lantern throwing soft gold light over faded posters and peeling paint. There's a smell of old paper and cold metal, like the air is holding its breath. Behind the counter, a small drawer jams halfway before sliding open with a sigh. Inside, bundles of yellowed envelopes tied with a single blue ribbon. The ink, though faint, still bleeds with emotion. On the top one, "To my dearest M's," Henry's heart quickens. He doesn't know who M is or why these letters were hidden here, but the return address makes his chest tighten. Verdun, France, 1916, the Great War. He feels as if he's holding the heartbeat of someone long buried. Outside, thunder rolls like distant artillery. The first letter trembles in his hand as he reads, "If you ever find this, it means I never came home." His breath catches. The lantern flickers. For a moment he swears he hears footsteps on the platform, slow, deliberate, and wet with rain. He turns, but there's no one there, only the hollow echo of a whistle that hasn't blown in years. Henry thought he'd bought a building, but what he really bought was a secret waiting to wake up. Henry Cole had once been a man of noise, printing presses, city chatter, the hum of New York in the roaring 20s. But when the newspaper he built went bankrupt, and his marriage collapsed soon after, silence became his only companion. That's why he came back to Ohio, to the town where his father once worked the rail lines, hoping the quiet could heal what the city had broken. Yet standing in that ruined station, holding a stranger's sorrow from the war, he feels the old ache return, the ache of stories left unfinished. Every morning he walks the platform, listening to the wind whistle through shattered glass like a tune from another time. He patches the roof, oils the hinges, and clears the ivy that clings to the brick walls. It's slow work, the kind that leaves your hands raw but your mind steady. Each nail he hammers feels like an attempt to rebuild more than wood and steel, maybe a life. Still, every time he passes the drawer with the letters, he hesitates. Something inside him whispers that opening the rest might change everything. At night, he sleeps on an old cot in what used to be the station master's office. The ticking of a small pocket watch, his father's, keeps him company. But lately that ticking feels off, skipping beats as if time itself were resisting his return. In dreams, he hears trains passing outside, but when he wakes, the tracks are cold. He tells himself it's just his imagination, yet a part of him wonders if the past ever truly leaves. He's not sure why he keeps coming back to those letters. Maybe it's curiosity, maybe it's guilt, or maybe it's because deep down, he hopes someone once wrote to him with that much love. Tomorrow, he decides, he'll open another envelope, but he has no idea that by doing so, he'll wake something that's been waiting exactly 12 years to be found. The next morning, a thin fog rolls over the tracks, blurring the world into shades of silver. Henry warms his hands by a small fire in the waiting room and stares at the drawer where the letters rest. The blue ribbon glows faintly in the lantern light, a fragile vein of color in a room drained of life. He hesitates, then unties it. The second letter slides free, dated November 11th, 1916. The handwriting trembles uneven, as if written between explosions. "Clem, they told us the war would be over soon, but the guns don't stop. I dream of trains, of home, of you." Henry swallows hard. The name signed at the bottom makes him pause. Private Samuel Merritt. The name sounds familiar, like a whisper he's heard before. He flips the envelope and finds something pressed inside. A black and white photograph of a woman standing at this very station, smiling beneath the same clock that now hangs lifeless on the wall. Behind her, scrawled on the wooden bench, the initials MM are carved deep into the grain. A chill slides through him. He rushes to the bench, brushing away the dust. And there it is, the carving, real and worn smooth by time. His lantern trembles in his hand. Could the woman in the photo have waited here in this exact spot for a train that never came? He feels the air shift, colder now, heavier, as if the station itself remembers. He sets the photo beside the clock, where moonlight spills through the window like spilled milk. The hands, frozen for years, seem to twitch, just once. He steps back, heart pounding. Maybe it's a trick of the light, maybe not. Outside, a long, distant whistle cuts through the night, but no train follows. only silence. That night, Henry can't sleep. The photo of the woman seems to glow in the moonlight, her eyes fixed somewhere beyond him, patient and certain. He lights his lantern again, its flame trembling against the cold air, and stares at the old station clock. The hands, still stuck at 11:23, now cast a shadow that feels too sharp, too deliberate. He moves closer, raising the lantern, and notices something behind the clock's glass, a thin slit almost invisible, a hidden compartment. He removes the clock carefully from the wall. Dust and cobwebs fall like grey snow. Inside the narrow space, there's another envelope sealed with dark wax and marked with the same blue ribbon as the others, but this one is different, thicker, heavier, as if carrying something more than words. His pulse quickens. The seal breaks with a soft crack. Inside is a folded note and a small brass key tarnished with age. The note reads, "For whoever finds this, the truth is locked below the tracks. Do not open alone." Henry stares at the key, unsure whether to laugh or shiver. He had expected stories, not warnings. Below the tracks, he walks out to the platform, the boards creaking under his boots. The wind hums through the rafters, and the fog is thicker now, swallowing everything beyond the edge of the station. The world feels suspended, like he's standing between two times. He kneels by the edge of the platform and shines the lantern downward. Between the rails, buried under mud and rust, there's an old iron hatch barely visible. It looks forgotten, like something built before the war. He brushes away the grime and sees the faint engraving. "Property of the United States Army, 1916. His breath catches. Whatever waits down there isn't just history, it's something the world was meant to forget. Morning light filters through broken glass, cutting the station into stripes of gold and grey. Henry hasn't slept. The brass key lies on the table beside his coffee tin, catching the weak sunlight. It feels heavier than it should, like it carries weight beyond metal. He rereads the note for the 10th time. "Do not open alone." The words echo in his head, warning and invitation at once. He pockets the key, grabs his lantern, and steps onto the platform. The hatch is colder today. He scrapes away the remaining dirt with a crowbar until the keyhole gleams faintly. The key slides in with an eerie ease, as if it has been waiting for him. When he turns it, a deep metallic click shakes the ground beneath his boots. The hatch groans open, releasing a gust of stale air that smells like oil and old earth. He shines the lantern inside. A narrow staircase spirals downward into darkness. The silence below is thick, almost liquid. He hesitates at the edge, then starts descending. The steps creak and echo. Every sound bounces back distorted, like whispers answering from the dark. At the bottom, the tunnel widens into a small underground chamber lined with crates, rusted tools, and broken telegraph equipment. Faded stencils on the walls read, "Signal Corps 1916. A thin layer of frost covers everything. He wipes dust off a wooden box and finds the same initials carved into it. MM. His throat tightens. Inside the box are more letters, neatly stacked. Hundreds of them, bound in matching blue ribbons. But one sits apart, unsealed. The handwriting is different, more desperate. Ink smeared by trembling hands. "If this reaches anyone, tell them we were never meant to send those trains." Henry freezes. Trains? What trains? He scans the walls for more clues and finds an old map pinned near a telegraph machine. Lines of red ink connect towns across the Midwest, including this very station. Whatever happened here, it wasn't just love or loss. It was a message buried beneath miles of steel. Henry spreads the map across the dusty table, tracing the red lines with his trembling finger. Each mark links a forgotten station, forming a circle that shouldn't exist. At the center of that circle, this very town. The paper smells of rust and time. Beside it lies the last letter he opened, the one that mentioned those trains. The ink, though faded, carries a kind of urgency that seeps into his bones. The letter ends with a date, November 10th, 1916, the eve of the armistice. One day before silence fell on the world, he feels a chill crawl up his spine. Could something have been sent on that night? Something the war tried to bury? The key words replay in his mind. We were never meant to send those trains. Henry paces the room, his lantern throwing frantic shadows across the walls. The sound of dripping water keeps steady time, like a metronome marking down to something inevitable. He checks his watch, 11:23. The same hour frozen on the station clock above. Coincidence or a countdown he hasn't understood yet? He hears it again, faint, rhythmic, like steel grinding against steel. But there are no trains for miles. He rushes up the staircase, breath short, and bursts back into the daylight. The platform lies empty, the horizon pale. Then, in the far distance, a column of smoke rises. It curls upward, black against the sky, too straight, too thin, like the exhaust of a steam engine. Yet no sound follows, just the low hum of wind carrying something that could almost be a whistle. He stares at the smoke, heart hammering, as the old clock inside begins to tick again, slow, hesitant, each beat counting towards something unseen. For the first time he understands, whatever happened in 1916 didn't end, it's repeating, and the clock has started counting down once more. Henry doesn't remember dropping the lantern, but now it burns low beside the hatch, its flame sputtering in the draught. The station groans as if it's breathing again, wood creaking, glass trembling, the faint echo of footsteps that shouldn't exist. He rushes to the wall where the photo of the woman hangs and notices something new, condensation streaking down the frame, as though the air itself had turned to breath. Outside, the fog thickens to a milky wall, swallowing the tracks whole. Somewhere beyond it, a faint metallic clang repeats at steady intervals, like a hammer striking rail. He forces himself to focus. The smoke, the ticking clock, the letters. Every clue points to one night in 1916, but what was sent that was never meant to leave. He returns to the underground chamber, where the boxes still wait in the cold. Inside one, beneath the stack of letters, he finds a small wooden crate sealed with iron nails. Stenciled across it, "Cargo, do not deploy." He pries it open with his crowbar, and what's inside makes his stomach turn. Small glass canisters, each filled with a faint greenish mist. The labels have long faded, but one word remains readable: experimental. Henry steps back, nearly dropping the lantern. His mind races. Chemical weapons, transported secretly through civilian rails. Maybe the soldiers never came home because they never meant to. He remembers the note's warning: "Do not open alone." His pulse pounds in his ears. The air in the tunnel grows colder, and the faint hum of the telegraph machine flickers to life. Click, click, click. The sound forms a rhythm, then a word. Run. The lantern dies. Darkness swallows the chamber. Above him something shifts. Metal grinding, old gears turning, as if the tracks themselves are waking up. Henry clutches the key, shaking, and realizes that the countdown he felt wasn't just memory. It's starting again. The sound builds, a low, distant rumble like thunder buried beneath the earth. Dust falls from the ceiling. Henry scrambles up the staircase, the key slick in his hand. When he reaches the platform, the world outside is almost gone, erased by fog. Then, through the white curtain, two lights appear, pale, circular, and moving fast. They glide along invisible tracks, glowing brighter with each heartbeat. Henry stumbles backward, shielding his eyes as a deafening whistle tears through the air. The station clock slams back to life, its hands spinning wildly until stopping again at 11:23. The same frozen second, the same unbroken loop. He dares to look up and sees it. A train, or what remains of one. The engine is half translucent, like light trapped in smoke. Through the fogged windows, silhouettes shift, soldiers in tattered uniforms, their faces pale and blank. They look out, not seeing him, as the ghost train glides silently into the station that hasn't run in 12 years. Henry feels the ground shake beneath his boots, the past bleeding into the present. The doors slide open with a hiss, though no air stirs. One envelope falls onto the platform, its paper wet with condensation. He bends to pick it up, his hands trembling. It's addressed in the same familiar handwriting, to the next keeper of the key. His name is written below, Henry Cole. The ink is fresh. His chest tightens as he realizes the message isn't from the past anymore. It's from now. He looks into the fog again, whispering into the emptiness. "Who are you?" But only the clock answers, ticking backward now. "Take a second to tell me where you're listening from, your city and country, and leave your like so this story can reach more people. Because what happens next, no one will believe." Henry grips the envelope so tightly that the edges cut into his skin. The train stands silent before him, a shimmer of metal and memory. Its doors remain open, dark inside, like a mouth waiting to swallow him whole. He steps back, shaking his head, but the air grows thick, heavy with steam that smells faintly of sulfur and rain. The ground hums beneath his feet, a vibration rising from the rails, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then, from inside the carriage, a voice breaks the silence. Low, calm, familiar. "Henry, you opened the hatch." He freezes. The voice echoes from everywhere and nowhere. He can't tell if it comes from the train or from his own thoughts. "Who are you?" he whispers, but the answer comes as a rush of air, a whispering chorus in languages he doesn't know. The lantern light flickers, casting shadows that stretch toward him like reaching hands. He stumbles backward, tripping over a broken rail, and the envelope slips from his grasp, landing near the fog's edge. The whistle blows again, once sharp and long, shaking the windows until the glass fractures into spiderweb cracks. He crawls to the door of the station office, slamming it shut behind him. Inside, everything feels wrong. The clock ticks backward faster now, the hands spinning with purpose. The photo of the woman, MM, has changed. Her smile is gone. Her eyes look directly at him, pleading. Beneath the frame, faint letters have appeared, written in condensation. He's still waiting. Henry presses his back against the wall, chest heaving. He can't tell if he's trapped in the past or if the past has trapped itself inside him. Outside, the train shifts, gears groaning, ready to move again. He realizes that if he doesn't act soon, the next departure won't just take the dead. It'll take him too. The station trembles like a living thing. Henry forces himself to his feet, lungs burning from the cold air and fear. The ghostly train outside hisses softly, steam curling around the windows like breath. The envelope still lies on the platform, glowing faintly beneath the fog. He can't leave it. Something deep inside tells him that whatever truth he's stumbled into, it's inside that letter. He takes a deep breath, pushes open the office door, and steps into the haze. The air is thick, almost solid, humming with energy. His footsteps echo too loud, too heavy, as if each one sinks deeper into time itself. When he bends to grab the envelope, the whistle sounds again, louder now, almost human, a cry pulled from the edge of pain. The platform blurs, and for a heartbeat, he isn't in 1928 anymore. Around him, soldiers rush through the smoke, shouting orders. The air reeks of gunpowder and oil. He spins in panic, realizing he's standing inside the same station, but younger, alive, the war still raging in the distance. A soldier runs past him, holding the same brass key, the same face from the photo. Samuel Merritt. Henry calls out, but no sound leaves his throat. Samuel turns as if hearing him anyway, eyes full of dread. He presses the key into the wooden hatch and shouts something Henry can't hear, then vanishes in a flash of white light. When the vision clears, the platform is empty again, and the letter in Henry's hand has changed. The ink bleeds fresh. One line stands out. The hatch must stay sealed, or the train will run forever. Henry looks toward the open hatch, where a faint green glow leaks through the cracks in the floor. The air smells like metal and smoke. He finally understands. This isn't about ghosts. It's about unfinished orders. And he's the only one left who can stop the train. Henry wipes the sweat from his brow, though the air feels icy cold. His mind races through the letter's words. The hatch must stay sealed. The train outside hums louder, lights pulsing like a dying heartbeat. He looks around the ruined platform, thinking of tools, ropes, anything he can use. The old telegraph machine clicks softly behind him, faint but rhythmic. He realizes it's repeating 3 letters over and over. SOS. He almost laughs. A distress call from the dead. He answers anyway, tapping the key with shaking fingers. How do I stop it? The machine pauses, then replies with a single word. Return. He understands. The key. It opened the hatch, and it can close it, but not from above. Someone has to go down. He grabs his lantern, the brass key, and a thick iron rod. The fog outside glows faintly green now, seeping through cracks in the floorboards. The sound of metal grinding against metal grows sharper, closer. He runs to the hatch, every step echoing through the hollow chamber below. When he reaches it, warm air rises from the darkness, and beneath that warmth, a steady pulse like the breath of something alive. He hesitates, staring into the black. If he seals it, maybe the station dies quiet. If he doesn't, maybe the world remembers what should have stayed buried. He lowers himself onto the first step, the lantern trembling in his hand. The tunnel feels narrower this time, walls sweating moisture, air thick with the scent of oil and earth. The telegraph upstairs ticks faster, sending a frantic rhythm that almost sounds like words. Hurry, hurry, hurry. He reaches the chamber. The green light pulses from the crate of glass canisters. their lids rattling like teeth. Henry kneels beside the hatch lever, gripping the key tight. One turn will close it forever, but one mistake could release everything. He takes a breath and whispers, "For you, Samuel, for M." Then he begins to turn the key. The metal screams as Henry turns the key, the hatch trembling beneath his hands. The green light flares brighter, flooding the chamber with a sickly glow that paints his skin the color of decay. The air burns in his throat, chemical, bitter, alive. He can hear the train above, gears locking, pistons straining, a ghost engine fighting against the seal. The telegraph machine clatters wildly in the distance, sending a message he can't quite read through the rising roar. Henry keeps turning, muscles shaking, the iron cold biting into his palms. "Stay closed," he mutters, voice breaking. "Stay down." Then, a sound like a scream of metal and thunder. The walls shake, dust rains from the ceiling. One of the glass canisters tips over and shatters, releasing a wisp of green vapor that coils toward him like smoke searching for lungs. Henry coughs violently, vision blurring. He staggers but refuses to let go of the key. Through the haze he sees shadows moving. Soldiers, their faces twisted, uniforms rotted but eyes burning with memory. They reach toward him, silent, pleading, as if begging to be sealed back inside time. "Not again," Henry yells. He drives the iron rod into the mechanism, locking it in place. The sound reverberates like a gunshot. The light surges, blinding white-green, swallowing everything. For a heartbeat he hears voices. Samuel's among them, whispering, "Thank you." Then silence, the kind that feels final. When the light fades, Henry collapses to his knees. The hatch is closed, the key frozen in place, glowing faintly before dimming forever. The air clears slowly, the green haze thinning to dust. Above, the station's rumble fades into stillness. Then, faintly, a last echo, the distant whistle of a departing train. But this time it fades completely into the night. Henry exhales, trembling, knowing what that means. The past has finally stopped moving. Silence fills the station like fog after rain. Henry climbs the last steps from the hatch, each one heavier than the last. The lantern flickers weakly in his hand, its flame reduced to a trembling dot. When he reaches the platform, the air feels strangely clean. No sulfur, no hum, no whisper of gears. The ghost train is gone. Only the stillness of a world that finally exhaled remains. He collapses against the wall, chest heaving, coughing out the taste of smoke and metal. The clock above the ticket booth hangs motionless again, its hands resting forever at 11:23. The first light of dawn filters through the fog, turning the broken windows gold. Henry looks around at the station, the floorboards cracked but dry, the walls quiet. On the table, the envelope with his name lies open. Inside is one final note written in fresh ink. "The key is sealed. Time will remember your name." He traces the words with his thumb, wondering who or what wrote them. Samuel M. The station itself? The thought makes his skin prickle, but his heart feels lighter than it has in years. Outside, the tracks stretch endlessly into the mist. Birds perch along the rails, singing again after what feels like decades of silence. Henry steps out into the morning air, holding the note against his chest. The town is waking far beyond the trees. A whistle from a distant mill, a dog barking, a child's laughter. All the ordinary sounds of life returning. He feels tears sting his eyes. He glances back once more, the clock, the fog, the walls. Everything looks the same, except for one thing. The photograph of the woman, M.M., now shows two figures on the platform. She's no longer alone, and standing beside her, faint but unmistakable, is him. Henry stands in the golden morning light, staring at the photograph that shouldn't exist. His reflection in it is older, lined with exhaustion, yet his eyes hold a calm he's never known. The station no longer feels haunted, only sacred. The air hums faintly, like the aftertone of a song that has finally ended. For the first time since he bought this place, the silence feels kind. He realizes now that what he restored wasn't just a building. It was memory, the unfinished heartbeat of people who needed someone to listen, and by listening, he gave them rest. He walks along the platform, touching the brick walls as he passes, feeling their warmth under the sun. Every scar in the wood, every rusted nail tells a story. The ivy he once tore down now blooms with small white flowers, soft and fragrant. He takes off his coat and lays it neatly over the bench where MM's initials are carved, like a gesture of respect. The air feels lighter, the station alive again, but in peace. not unrest. As he turns to leave, a soft wind brushes past him, carrying a whisper. Not a warning this time, but gratitude. It sounds like Samuel's voice, faint and steady. It's done. Henry smiles faintly, eyes closed, letting the warmth settle into his chest. For years, he'd run from the noise of his life, from failure, from loss, from the echoes of his own mistakes. But here, surrounded by ghosts who found their end, he has finally found his beginning. He picks up his father's pocket watch and listens. It ticks normally again, steady, calm. Time has started moving forward. He looks up one last time at the station sign, letters faded but proud. Verdun Station, it reads, though he knows it's in Ohio. Maybe that's how the world folds when it needs to heal. He steps off the platform, knowing that for the first time in years, he's walking toward life, not away from it. Weeks pass. The station stands quiet but no longer abandoned. Henry repaired the roof, polished the clock, and kept the doors open for the curious few who wander by. To them, it's just an old building rescued by a sentimental man. But when he walks those floors at dusk, he feels something different. A presence that hums softly, not in warning, but in peace. The scent of oil and dust has faded, replaced by lilac from the wildflowers blooming through the cracks. He knows the dead no longer linger here. What remains is memory, woven into wood and iron. Every evening, he sits on the bench beside the initials MM, the same one where the woman once waited. He reads the letters one last time, not for mystery now, but for love, the kind that survives across time and silence. He writes back in his journal, not to them, but to himself. Some ghosts just need to be heard. Some wounds just need to be remembered. The act feels like prayer. When the sun sets, he hears a faint train whistle in the distance. Soft, warm, alive. This one isn't from the past. It's from the living world, and he smiles. The clock above the door now ticks in steady rhythm, marking hours that finally matter. Henry's reflection in the glass looks older, but peaceful. He locks the office door, looks back once more, and sees the faint outline of Samuel Merritt saluting him before fading into light. Henry nods back. "Rest easy," he whispers. Then he walks away as night falls over the tracks, leaving behind only the whisper of the wind and a single folded note on the counter. Every story ends where it's meant to begin. The station sleeps. The past is still. And somewhere deep beneath the rails, silence holds steady. Not in fear, but in grace. If this story moved you, take a moment to subscribe, not just for more tales, but to keep their echoes alive. Because some stories deserve to be heard forever.